Hello and good day, ladies and gentlemen. I am Aznor Sarah Akila, and today I'll be representing my team, which consists of Dr. Maisara Abdul Hamid as well as Professor Madhya Dr. Hafiz Hanafia, to explain our conceptual paper titled Rise of the QR Code Application Adoption Towards a Conceptual Post-COVID-19 Smart Sustainable Tourism Framework. So for the agenda, the key talking points, we'll begin with the introduction and proceeding with the identifications, the problems that we identified that has led to the creation of this conceptual paper. Next will be the proposed framework, and then we have the discussion, the contributions of this paper, and finally the conclusion. So let's begin. So firstly, introduction. Now, since COVID-19, the tourism industry experienced a shift in ways on how travel and tourism is being partaken. So because of that, it has led to an extensive application of technology, especially QR codes. So what is QR codes? So it is actually a pictorial bridges which can be embedded in the physical environment. It is as well an extension of the standard barcode system. So for this particular paper, our aim is to introduce a conceptual framework for QR code application acceptance by tourism consumers to help determine future decision-making on smart sustainable tourism practices, integration in touristic destinations. So we identified 4 particular things that has led to the creation of this conceptual paper. Number 1, we realized that there is an uprising trend of QR code usage among tourism destinations. Number 2, there's limited literature on tourist behavior perception towards QR code application experience. Number 3, like to determine whether tourist sustainability behavior influences their technology adoption preferences. And lastly, we would like to determine whether COVID-19 acts as a stimulus towards the usage of QR code amongst tourists and tourism destinations. So identification 1. So the first identification is we realize that there is an uprising trend of QR code usage among tourism destinations. And basically information dissemination activities were cut short by COVID-19, and because of that, tourism providers opt for QR code that adhere with the SOPs to avoid close contacts and social gatherings, etc. So QR code is definitely a cheaper option in delivering digital content than the cost of printing brochures, pamphlets, and many others. Besides that, it offers minimal contact, which will lead to a reduced rate of getting infected by COVID-19. It is definitely a high-tech choice rather than a high-touch system, and it is used in museum and galleries, accommodation sectors, air travel sectors for check-ins, restaurants and bars for menus and etc., guided street tours, and open-air museums and shops. However, studies related to QR code is still minimal within the tourism industry in terms of the effectiveness, awareness, and customer satisfaction. So there is an increased publication of QR code during COVID-19, which results in gaining researchers' attention, including us. So hence the need to address research gaps on technology acceptance and how COVID-19 as a new pandemic act as a stimulus for QR code usage. So this paper will offer insights into the usage of QR codes to disseminate information at tourism destinations and the sustainability behavior of QR code usage. So we'll proceed with the second identification, which is we identify that there are limited literature on tourist behavior perception towards QR code application experience. Now, several studies have shown that technologies like internet, smartphones, and other mobile devices and applications do enhance tourist experience while visiting that destination. While some studies have explained the relationship between tourist behavior and technology, few studies actually focus on the adoption of QR code application, hence why we chose QR code to represent the technology for our paper. So the identification number 3 is that we like to determine whether tourist sustainability behavior influences their technology adoption preferences. So as we know, if a proper balance of environmental, economic, and social factors will lead to sustainable behavior. However, there are limited studies about accepting usage and sustainability in technological adoption among tourism destinations. Prior studies like Beckendorf and Graf and Gempel has actually shown that limited research on the interrelationship between sustainability attitude and technology adoption. So, but majority focus on supply base. They don't focus on the demand base. So they neglect how tourists view sustainability aspects. So as a result, there is a significant gap in tourist sustainability within the environmental, social and economic context, and that is another reason why we propose this particular conceptual paper. And for the fourth identification, we identify and we like to determine whether COVID-19 works as a stimulus towards the usage of QR code amongst tourists and tourism destinations. So COVID-19 caused a shift in the tourism and travel industry. However, little is known about how COVID-19 risk perception encourages QR code usage among tourists to disseminate information specifically. Hence, there is a need to address research gaps on technology acceptance and how COVID-19 as a new pandemic acts as a stimulus for QR code usage. So we hope that this paper aims to offer insights into the usage of QR codes to disseminate information at the tourism destinations and the sustainability behavior of the QR code usage as well. So based on the particular information that we have identified, we have proposed this particular framework, which is originated from Venkatesh et al., Graph and Dimple, as well as Park, which incorporates technology adoption determinants, sustainability behavior, usage satisfaction, behavioral attention, and we also incorporate COVID-19 as stimulus as the moderator for this. So based on the proposed framework, we can discuss that the ground of that particular framework is the Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology, formulated by Venkatesh, or we know it as UThought, which has been widely utilized to foresee technological acceptance in organizational settings. So Park actually incorporated the items used in UThought 2 and customer satisfaction and repurchase attention. So to support our concept paper, we incorporated Park's study with Venkatesh's UThought 2 framework. Now, Park even added the effect of behavioral intention on actual behavior initiates from the basic concept underlying user acceptance research. So it was concluded that if a satisfied customer is satisfied with the service or etc., it means that they will have a repurchase attention, and vice versa. If a dissatisfied customer is dissatisfied, they will terminate the consequent use. Conceptual framework and our proposed framework as well, we have integrated Graph and Gimple's study as well, where they integrated sustainability with UThought 2. So sustainability, they will focus on the three aspects of environmental, social, as well as economical sustainability attitude of the tourists. That were previously discussed, we believe that our contributions are twofold, which is number one, it can consolidate recent technology adoption literature in terms of perceptions and attitudes of travelers towards QR code application, the influencing factors of sustainability behavior, usage satisfaction, COVID-19 pandemic as a behavioral stimulus, as well as we believe that the conceptual model can provide possible outcomes and consequences to investigate in the future. And secondly, I'd like to present research possibilities on the reaction of tourism consumers to the adoption of QR code applications among tourism providers. The reason is because there is limited understanding of how QR code applications are perceived. Hence, we believe that with this concept that we are presenting can answer this particular question and can contribute to the adoption of QR code applications among tourism providers, and as well as the reaction of tourism consumers. So all in all, we can conclude that this paper identifies, number one, uprising trends of QR code usage among tourism destinations. Number two, we also identify that because there are limited literature on tourist behavior perception towards QR code application experience, we decided to propose this particular concept paper. Number three, tourist sustainability behavior influences the technology adoption preferences, and last but not least, COVID-19 pandemic work as a stimulus towards the usage of QR code amongst tourism and tourist destination. Now for the second one, we also realized that QR code usage might be the most favorable option and it can make the most out of the tourist's experience. And supposedly, if the findings show that the tourists do prefer this option and wish to use it again, it will benefit tourism providers who can opt for the same to ensure the well-being and satisfaction of the tourists at the particular tourist destination. And last but not least, this particular paper will motivate future research in terms of smart sustainable tourism industry, as well as QR code smart technology. And with that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. I hope you have a very good day and always stay safe. Goodbye.